Don't stress. Everything is temporary. Let me tell you something that life has taught me, something that no book, no lecture, no podcast could truly explain until I lived through it. Nothing lasts forever. Not the pain, not the fear, not even the joy. Everything, yes, everything is temporary. When you're in the middle of a storm, it feels like the rain will never stop. You wonder if the thunder will ever quiet, or if the lightning inside your chest will ever let you breathe. But the storm doesn't last. It never does. And I want you to remember that, not just hear it, but hold it. Carry it in your pocket like a small stone you can touch when life feels too loud. This too shall pass. You see, the mind loves to believe that what we feel now is what we'll feel forever. But emotions are waves. They rise, they crash, and eventually they roll back into the ocean. You might be sitting alone right now, carrying a heavy heart. Maybe life hasn't gone the way you thought it would. Maybe your plans have unraveled. Maybe someone you trusted walked away. Maybe you're staring at a version of your life that doesn't feel like yours anymore. And it hurts. Of course it hurts. You're human. But here's what I want to say to you today. Don't stress. Don't let this moment define your forever, because it's just that, a moment. It's not the whole story. It's just a page. You have already survived so much. You have already outgrown so many hard chapters. Look back. Think of all the things you thought would break you. Yet here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still becoming. That pain you felt last year, temporary. That heartbreak you thought you'd never heal from, temporary. That anxiety that gripped you at 3 a.m., temporary. What's permanent is your strength, your resilience, your spirit that keeps showing up even when it's tired. That's who you are. Now let's flip the coin. Because if stress is temporary, so is comfort. So is success. So is sunshine. And that's why we must be present. That's why we must love harder, laugh louder, and appreciate the now. Stop putting joy on layaway. Stop saying, I'll be happy when. You'll miss the moment that's in front of you now. Don't let temporary troubles steal your permanent power. Yes, cry when you need to. Feel it all. Healing doesn't mean pretending everything's okay. It means trusting that you will be okay. Even if you don't know how, even if the path is still blurry, trust the unfolding. And if life feels uncertain, if things don't make sense right now, I want you to picture yourself standing on the shore, watching the tide go out. That's what's happening in your life. Some things are pulling away, but they're not leaving you empty. The tide will return. It always does. And often it brings back shells you never expected, beauty you never saw coming. The seasons will change. Winter will pass. And when spring arrives, you'll feel the warmth again. So breathe. Just breathe. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to fix everything right now. Sometimes your only job is to keep walking, to keep waking up, to keep showing up until the heaviness lifts, until the light returns. Let life unfold. And remember, just because it feels hard doesn't mean it's wrong. Growth often comes wrapped in discomfort. Expansion is rarely quiet. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Everything is temporary, even this, especially this. So don't stress. Stand tall in the storm. Smile when you can, cry when you must, but trust this one truth: nothing lasts forever, and your peace is on the way. There is a moment in everyone's life when it feels like the weight is too much, when the sadness creeps in quietly and stays, when the fear builds like a wall between who you are and where you want to be. There are nights when your thoughts spin faster than you can catch them, and mornings when even getting out of bed feels like a mountain. And in those moments, in that deep stillness where the ache lives, you begin to believe that this is how it's always going to be. But it's not. Everything you're feeling right now, it's temporary. I know that's hard to believe when you're in the middle of it. Pain has a way of convincing you it's permanent. Anxiety whispers lies, telling you you'll never feel calm again. Heartbreak echoes in your chest so loudly that silence feels unbearable. But these emotions, no matter how strong, are just visitors. They are not your home. They are not your identity. They are passing through. Life doesn't come with a pause button. Time doesn't wait for permission. Just as seasons change, so do the chapters of our lives. No feeling, no matter how intense or overwhelming, lasts forever. The fear that gripped you last month, it softened. The loneliness that felt like a blanket you couldn't shake off, it lifted, even for a moment. And that proves something. You are already healing more than you realize. You're not broken. You're becoming. We often confuse what we feel with who we are. But you are not your sadness. You are not your anxiety. You are not your anger or your stress. You are the observer of those emotions. You are the space that holds them, not the emotion itself. And if you can step back and witness them, even for a second, then you're already reclaiming your power. You see, emotions are like weather. Some days are clear and bright. Others are stormy, dark, unpredictable. But even the longest night gives way to morning. Even the harshest storm runs out of rain. What you're experiencing now, it's just weather. Let it pass. There is no shame in feeling deeply. In fact, that's your strength. The ability to feel pain means you have the capacity to feel joy. The depth of your struggle will one day reflect the depth of your strength. But don't let the temporary convince you that it's the end. It's not. It's just a bend in the road, not a dead end. Sometimes life slows us down so we can listen. Not to punish us, but to realign us, to remind us of what really matters, to strip away what's no longer needed. And yes, the process is uncomfortable. It often hurts, but just like pruning makes way for new growth, your pain is making room for something better. You don't need to rush your way through healing. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. You just need to remember this. Your feelings are valid, but they are not permanent. Every tear you've cried has watered the garden of your soul. Every sleepless night has taught you resilience. Every moment you wanted to give up, but didn't, has carved strength into your bones. Even joy is fleeting. That's why we must treasure it. Even laughter ends. That's why we must embrace it when it shows up. Life is constantly moving. Nothing stays the same, and that's a beautiful thing, because it means you're not stuck, you're not trapped. You're just in a moment that will pass. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed, try this. Pause, close your eyes, breathe. Say to yourself, this is not forever. This is just right now. Let that truth soften your body. Let it lighten your heart. Because it's true. Some days you'll feel strong, others fragile. Some mornings you'll wake up with fire, others with fog. But none of those feelings define you. They simply remind you that you're alive. And being alive means things change. Always. You have survived every emotion you've ever felt. Read that again. Every single one. Even the ones that felt impossible. Even the ones that stole your breath. And if you survive those, you will survive this too. So when life feels heavy, when the emotions come crashing in, remember, don't build a home in your hurt. Don't make a permanent decision in a temporary moment. Trust the truth beneath the noise. Everything you're feeling is temporary. It's okay to feel. Just don't forget to keep going. Take a moment and breathe. Slow everything down, just for now. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've earned the right to pause. You've carried so much. Walked through more than most people know. And even if nobody claps for you, even if no one says it out loud, you've already survived so much. That's not a small thing. You've lived through nights that swallowed your light. Moments where the pain was so loud you could hardly hear yourself think. You've had days where your heart was shattered, and still, you showed up. You kept going. You didn't give up. You're not here by accident. Every scar you carry is a sign that you chose to heal instead of hide. That you chose to heal instead of hide. That you kept showing up, even when the world didn't feel safe. You've fought battles no one saw. You've cried in silence, wiped your own tears, and talked yourself through breakdowns when no one else could hear the shaking in your voice. And maybe you don't talk about it, maybe you minimize it, maybe you say it wasn't that bad, or I'm fine now. But let's tell the truth. It was hard. And you made it through. Remember the version of yourself that thought you wouldn't survive that breakup, that loss, that job you left, that betrayal? You did. And not only did you survive, but you grew. You gained wisdom, resilience, depth. You found out who your real people were. You discovered a strength in yourself that you didn't even know existed. So when life feels uncertain again, when fear tries to creep in and convince you that you're not ready, remind yourself, I've done hard things before. I can do this too. This moment right here, it might be tough. It might be stretching you, testing you, asking more from you than you feel like you have to give. But you've stood in this kind of fire before, and you walked out stronger. You are not fragile. You are forged. There is something inside you, call it spirit, soul, fire, faith, that refuses to quit. And that something is why you're still standing. That's why you keep rising even after being knocked down. That's why even when your heart breaks, your hope doesn't die. So stop telling yourself that you're not strong enough. You already are. Stop doubting whether you can handle this next chapter. You've already proven you can handle storms much bigger than this. The human heart is extraordinary. It can be broken and still beat with compassion. It can ache and still love. It can be exhausted and still keep going. And your heart? It's been through enough to know that every ending has the potential to become a beginning. You didn't come this far just to shrink. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to play small now. No, you came to rise. You came to shine. You came to speak your truth, own your story, and live with purpose. And yes, healing isn't linear. There are still days where the weight feels heavy, still moments where old memories resurface and catch you off guard. That's okay. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're still human, still evolving. It takes courage to feel. It takes strength to stay open after all the reasons you had to shut down. It takes faith to keep believing in good things after you've seen the worst. But you've done that. You are doing that. You're not the same person you were back then. You're wiser now, softer in some ways, stronger in others. You've learned what matters. You've learned to listen to your intuition, to set boundaries, to say no when you need to, and yes when it's right for you. And maybe you're not where you thought you'd be. Maybe life looks different than the picture you once held in your head, but that doesn't mean you've failed. It means you've adapted. It means you've survived what tried to break you, and you're still becoming something beautiful. So hold your head up. Speak to yourself with kindness. You're not weak for feeling tired. You're not behind for needing rest. You've carried so much, and yet here you are. Still standing, still growing, still becoming. That's your power. That's your legacy. And it's something no one can take from you. You've already survived so much, and you're not done yet. There's something we don't say enough in this world that's obsessed with results, timelines, and appearances. You don't have to have it all together to be healing. You don't have to be smiling every day, checking off boxes, or radiating peace to prove that you're growing. Healing isn't clean. It's not a straight path. It's not this perfect little checklist you complete and suddenly declare yourself healed. Healing is messy. It's layered. And sometimes it looks like crying at 2 a.m. over something you thought you were done grieving. Sometimes it's saying, "I'm fine," when you're not. And then realizing you're tired of pretending. And choosing for the first time to be honest with yourself. There is no rule book, no deadline. You're allowed to take your time. You don't have to rush your way out of pain. You don't have to fake your way into the light. Real healing doesn't ask for perfection. It just asks for presence. For you to show up as you are, with your wounds, your confusion, your shaky faith, and your tired heart. You can heal and still have bad days. You can be strong and still break down. You can be grateful for your blessings and still feel overwhelmed. These things don't cancel each other out. They exist side by side in the real, raw, complicated landscape of being human. Too often we believe healing means getting over it, that we should be better by now, that if we're still hurting, we're doing something wrong. But pain isn't a sign of failure. It's part of the process. It's your body and soul working through what was never meant to be held in silence. So feel your emotions, let them come, let them speak. They're not here to destroy you. They're here to reveal what still needs your love, your forgiveness, your compassion. There is wisdom in your wounds. There is power in the parts of you that still tremble. You are not broken. You are becoming. You're shedding old versions of yourself, old stories, old habits that once kept you safe but no longer serve you. And yes, that hurts. Of course it does. Growth always requires discomfort. But pain is not your permanent address. It's a sacred part of your journey. It's proof that something inside you is shifting, evolving, reaching toward wholeness. You don't have to look polished to be progressing. You don't have to be inspiring to be worthy of love. Some days, healing will look like rest. Some days it'll look like rage. Some days it'll look like doing the dishes or finally getting out of bed. That counts. That's enough. That's healing too. Don't compare your process to anyone else's. Don't measure your timeline against the highlight reel of someone else's life. What you're carrying is unique to you. What you've lived through can't be summed up in a quote or tied with a neat bow. Healing doesn't demand that you erase your scars. It invites you to understand them, to make peace with your past, to hold your pain with tenderness instead of judgment. There will be moments where you feel like you've taken 10 steps back. That's okay. Healing often feels like spiraling when it's really just spiraling upward. Each return to the wound is a deeper chance to understand it, to soothe it, to finally release it. Be gentle with yourself. Speak to yourself like you would a child who's hurting. Softly, patiently, kindly. You deserve that. You always have. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to fall apart. You are allowed to not know. Healing isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real. Becoming more you. The you who isn't afraid to feel, to fail, to grow, to ask for help. Trust the process, even when it doesn't make sense. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, sometimes the biggest transformations happen underground. Quiet, slow, and invisible. Like seeds buried deep in the soil, your healing is taking root before it ever blooms. And when it finally does, when you look back and realize how far you've come, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, you'll understand that the path didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to be honest. And you walked it beautifully. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to be flawless. All you need to do is keep showing up, keep breathing, and keep believing that your pain has purpose, even if you don't see it yet. Because healing doesn't ask you to be perfect. It just asks you to keep going. There's a strange thing that happens when you begin to grow. Life starts to feel uncomfortable, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It rarely feels like joy when it's happening. It feels like tension, resistance, restlessness. It feels like confusion, like shedding your skin. It feels like you're standing in the middle of your life with everything familiar behind you, but you can't go back. That space, that discomfort, it's sacred. You see, we're taught that pain means we're broken, or that if we're uncomfortable, something must be wrong. But that's not always true. Some of the most important breakthroughs in your life won't happen when everything is smooth and steady. They will happen when everything inside you is trembling and uncertain, when you're being stretched beyond your limits, questioned by your own thoughts, and forced to sit in the unknown. Because that's where growth lives, in the unknown. Temporary challenges, those messy middle seasons, those quiet battles you fight when no one's watching. They're not punishments. They're preparation. They are shaping you for what you asked for. They are training grounds for a version of you that can handle the vision you prayed about. You said you wanted strength. Life gives you something heavy to carry. You asked for confidence. Life places you in rooms that make you doubt yourself until you realize you belong there. You wished for clarity. Life shakes everything up, so what no longer fits can fall away. Growth isn't glamorous, it's gritty. It's showing up when you don't feel ready. It's facing your fears instead of running from them. It's letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be so you can become who you really are. The discomfort you feel right now, it's a sign that you're not standing still anymore, that you're moving, that you're shifting, that something deep inside you knows it's time for more. And even if you can't see the destination, even if it feels like chaos, there is order being born in the background. Growth feels like outgrowing people you love, but who no longer see you. Growth feels like being silent in spaces you once dominated. Growth feels like unlearning the beliefs you built your entire identity around. And yes, it's hard. Change is uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. The human brain craves certainty, but transformation requires us to surrender that craving, to trust the process, to keep walking, even when the path is foggy. You may feel like your life is falling apart when in truth it's falling together in a way your current self can't yet understand. Growth doesn't happen in the light. It begins in the shadows. In moments of doubt, in seasons of stillness, in times when you feel lost. The caterpillar doesn't grow wings in the sunlight. It dissolves inside a dark cocoon, alone. There's no glamour there, just silence, just waiting, just trusting. And eventually, it emerges transformed. Not because the change was easy, but because the discomfort was necessary. So don't run from your uncomfortable seasons. Don't numb them, rush them, or shame yourself for feeling them. Sit with them, learn from them, ask them what they're trying to teach you. Because the truth is, discomfort is a mirror. It reflects the places in us that are being called higher. The pieces of us that can no longer stay the same. It reveals where we've settled, where we've played small, where we've held back out of fear. And when you lean into it, when you stop resisting and start listening, you'll find the most unexpected kind of power. You'll realize that discomfort wasn't here to destroy you. It came to grow you. You don't have to like it. You don't have to enjoy it. But you do have to honor it. Because on the other side of this uncomfortable chapter is the version of you that can hold what you've been asking for. The one who's stronger, bolder, wiser. The one who can speak up, set boundaries, walk away from what's not for them, and trust that even in the unknown, they are safe. So if you're in a season of tension, if your life feels tight, if your soul feels stretched, know this: you're not being broken, you're being built. You're not off track, you're being rerouted. And you're not being punished, you're being prepared. Every challenge is making room. Every setback is recalibrating your course. Every moment of discomfort is sending the same message: you're evolving. So the next time you find yourself in the middle of discomfort, in that tight space between who you were and who you're becoming, don't curse it. Don't rush it. Don't doubt yourself. Instead, pause and say, this is the part where I grow. This is the part where life stretches me so I can hold more. More truth, more purpose, more power. You are not stuck. You are not failing. You are becoming. And that ache in your spirit, that restlessness in your chest, that whisper that says, there's more for me, that's not anxiety. That's your evolution calling. That's your next chapter knocking on the door. So open it, walk through it, and remember this always: discomfort is in the end. It's the beginning of everything greater. You are growing, you are rising, and you are exactly where you're meant to be. Keep going. You've got this.